to do whatever. The list goes on.
I agree.
I'm sorry, you agree?
But I love my black woman.
Okay.
But she's angry as hell.
Why do you agree with that? Why do you think black women are angry all the time?
Well, I just irritate her. Everything I do, I feel like I irritate her. I leave trash on the floor, put it in front of me like you left that. I'm like, damn, that's petty. Like y'all petty to me sometimes.
Now, would a woman have?
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. We're talking to you guys. Well, this topic came up on I Am Athlete. Sometimes I watch their shows and I really like their content as well. So they were having a discussion, and the conversation went into a discourse talking about are black women angry, and why are black women angry if you believe that. And I really want to break it down because I'm gonna give some personal experience of what I've encountered with UK black women in general, and then obviously kind of give you guys a general perspective over this topic and this conversation as well. So if you want to know my thoughts, you want to know more, maybe you disagree already with the conversation already, stick in. Whoa, stick with us, okay, as this conversation flows. And for those of you who are new to the channel, massive favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, really know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there, they're hot. Okay, listen, we're gonna get into the video. It's gonna get interesting as well. So let's just click on this and see where the conversation flows. And don't forget as well, for those of you who are returnees, you got the minerals, baby. Stay hydrated because the streets are hot.
That is not black. Would she be easy about it? Would she be easy about trash on the floor? I'm curious. I don't know. I don't date women. Nothing wrong with it.
She's getting messy right now. She's getting messy.
From your past experience,
They would have just picked it up.
they would have just picked up the trash. Okay.
We going there.
So I want to make sure I'm going to repeat
But
what I
my mom-
heard. No, I just want to repeat what I heard because I want to make sure.
My mom was
Your mom also picked up your trash.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to make sure.
I think
so
what's
black woman.
I think what's really interesting. We really know a little bit about obviously Nick and Kiona. And I think sometimes, for me on this conversation, sometimes what happens is people use their experiences, which can be sometimes limited. And also as well, sometimes, especially when I'm hearing this topic, what Nick just said there is wild to me. Okay, so he said, obviously, listen, a white woman would have picked up the trash. And I'm like, why would she have picked up the trash? Which white women are you dating? The ones that want to be subservient, or she doesn't even say subservient, that are more domesticated or whatever, or submissive, like, but yet the black women you're choosing don't seem to be submissive. There's a little bit of confusion there because you said your mum would have done this. Sorry, you said your mum would have done this, right? And I think this is there are several components working in this answer. One, let's take one angle: the women that you've dated potentially have not been as domesticated in that area, or two, they just didn't want to do it because, you know what, they felt frustration with a relationship and they want to do it at a point in time. Three, they generally just don't do that in general as well. Four, the woman that you're choosing, the black women that you're choosing have a certain energy, a certain vibe about them, and you choose them because of that vibe and energy, but they don't have the necessary skills that you actually want as well. And yet when you choose white women, you seem to choose these very specific type of white women. I mean, they're different components as to why the answer could be the way it is. But I want to just let's just focus on what Nick has said, right? He said, you know what, black women are angry. And he said, obviously, like, for instance, give an example of picking up trash from the floor. Can I be very honest with you? All right. It's the type of woman you're choosing, right? It's the type of woman you're choosing. I want to say this again. It's the type of woman you're choosing. All right, because if your mum could do it, there are other black women that can do this too. But you're choosing women that are not like your mum, I'm guessing, right? Or maybe they are like your mum in some regard, but maybe the skill set isn't there. You're choosing these people. We have to start putting accountability on the picker. If you're picking people, you're choosing people. Why does the blame go onto the women? Like, I'm just saying to myself, like, just because as a leader, as I see myself as a leader, when I make decisions, I'm accountable for my decisions that I make. So I see from that viewpoint. I'm not saying there aren't black women out there that won't pick up your trash. And I'm not saying there ain't white women that would pick up your trash. But I think to make that stark contrast is exactly the same thing as we saw in the last podcast where we heard the young black woman say, you know, white men are more romantic or white men are more respective of black women. How the heck do you know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how the heck do you know? Now, he's dating a white woman, is he? You know, and so he has a direct comparison. But my thing is this: if you've really dealt with white women, like, and you know the spectrum of white women, you'll know that some of those conversations that they have about this, they ain't picking up nobody's trash. They ain't picking up nobody's trash. They're just as feminist, as independent, live my life. There is just as much as that as any woman on any particular race. But I think what happens is we get a narrowed focus because we're in our community. Now, in his particular case, he can't even talk. If you out here cheating on the streets, what kind of woman are you gonna have? You have directly fed into your relationship. I keep saying this, like you got to take responsibility for your actions, and pretending as if your actions haven't contributed towards the current state of affairs in your country, in your domain, in your marriage, in your partnership, in your relationship is naive. You know what I mean? And number two, how you pick them, right? Nick has got no excuse. He's got the world to pick from, oysters to pick from, and you choose a black. Let's say that she is. You choose a black woman that won't pick up trash. You got to take responsibility for that particular aspect, right? But let's go back to the original question, because the question was about black women being angry. Let's listen a bit more and we'll answer the question.
We'll get mad at you if you leave trash on the floor, but if you date someone who is not black, 9 times out of 10, more often than not, she's gonna pick the trash up and throw it away for you. So that's why black women are angry.
I will assume.
Okay,
Assume that.
listen. From past experience.
From past experience.
Your thoughts?
Just that's a wild notion, that 9 out of 10 black women wouldn't pick up the trash, but 9 out of 10 white women would. Now, can I be honest with you? His truth is his truth. I'll say this: based on his experience, he could be right. Based on his experience, based on the kind of woman that he's been picking, he wouldn't be telling no lies, right? Based on the woman that he's picking, he won't be telling no lies. But the truth of the matter is, when you take a broader spectrum of things and take a broader spectrum of people to choose from in terms of partners, my biggest question is, we know there are black women that pick up trash. Your mum was one of them. Why the frick can you not pick one like that? That says more about your picking and the way that you pick and the way you see things as a main thing. Now, of course, I guess through generations, there are going to be less women that are going to be so much more domesticated, because they can work now, they can choose to do other things, they can be independent. So there's going to be a greater mass of women who may not prioritize, the household chores in that particular respect, right? That's natural to say. But the question again is, why do you keep choosing those people? If your mum was like that, why did you choose somebody who's not like that? Right? Your picker's off. That's the whole point.
I'm laughing. Wifey in the back. Look, you did this.
Why
Right?
you
Hey,
gotta
I'm just
say
hey,
so?
Pat.
But either way it go, no, this is a good conversation.
Yeah, it's a great
I'm just saying.
conversation.
I'm just giving you a heads up as a brother.
I wouldn't
Your
waste some
wifey
time.
in the background just did this.
Man, I ain't worried about it.
Don't die,
Okay,
don't
I
die
got your
today.
back, brother. Answer correctly, brother.
Don't die
Black
today.
women are more, what's the word do I use? I would say aggressive than white women.
We digging. So
Just so they have to. Though.
this is that good.
That's the truth. You know what I mean? I don't know what make it like that. But
I was going to ask you, why do you think they appear more aggressive?
Because they've been through more, and
Fair enough.
like just growing up, the black woman it was always in a hustle mode for me, and I feel like that's created the strong black women. I feel like they have to be strong all the time, and I don't think we nurtured them enough.
So, and I also hear you saying,
I respect that. If you heard him correctly, we can go back a little bit. He actually gave a good answer. He said, you know what? Black women have gone through some tough stuff. And you know what? We don't nurse them anymore. And they feel like they have to start being hustle mode. That's a fair answer. That's something that's probably I was thinking about it. Not again necessarily excusing some people, but he's given a good answer saying, listen, look, there are other factors that play into this. That's all I require from black men. You know what I mean? Like when I look at men or women, when they're talking about the other side, all I'm looking for them is to be a bit more broad in their spectrum and the way they think, not to be so train tunneled in their thinking and their answers. Let's just replay it again.
Growing up, the black woman it was always in a hustle mode for me, and I feel like that's created the strong black women. I feel like they have to be strong all the time.
Now let's pause it there. He said, obviously, growing up with a black woman, they've always had to be in hustle mode. Why was he growing up with black women? He grew up with them because there was no black men. And that's what I say this all the time. Like the first and foremost, as a leader, we've got to take accountability, and then when our absence is there, what is left? And what happens to the women when you're absent in your presence, right? Someone might say, well, single mothers are raising men. Well, single mothers started somewhere, the chicken or the egg. But either way, the men were there first. You know what I mean? So we have to really look at it and deep it again once more, that if the men don't do their job, we create an environment where we create weaker men and we create stronger women because they're trying to cover for the fact that this world is patriarchal as well, so they got to defend themselves. That makes them tougher, and then that then becomes a vicious cycle because the weaker men meet the stronger women. Then there's the beef between the two because we don't really understand each other, and that creates another same cycle again because the single woman will then grow up another weak man, or even say single homes where there's dualistic parents, but they don't deal with their emotional aspects or their problems within themselves. Create weak men, strong women too, and then we create these stereotypes within this as well, which again perpetuates the cycle and over and over and over, and it gets layered even more as generations passed. So when we look at it from a root perspective, this is what we're looking at. Branch, we can say what they're saying, but if we look at the root, it's a big issue.
And I don't think we nurtured them enough.
So, and I also hear you saying Black women can't take the armor off. They can't chill out.
It's tough.
They
It's
stay
hard.
tough.
It's hard.
It's impossible to switch it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been put down for
It's
so
hard.
long, yeah.
Is that what it is? You answering?
I mean, I'm speaking. Yes, for me, like I listen. What I don't understand is I'm trying, and it's funny to me because I love you. First of all, I love you for being as honest as you are, because what you said is crazy. But I appreciate you.
That's me. Yo, I'm telling you, that's me.
No, but I appreciate that's your honesty.
Yeah.
Like, I love you for being honest.
It's one verse.
It's
It's 1 verse 3 right now, and bro, we losing right now.
No, but I'm saying no, y'all not
telling
losing.
y'all, she's
because
setting us
most
up.
people-
She's setting us up. No, she ain't.
I'm
Go.
not setting her up, but I'm saying somebody's at home listening, like, he right. Yeah, like, why won't you just pick up the trash and shut the hell up? Like, somebodies are agreeing with you than they will agree with me. And this is what I'm asking you. You said Black women appear more aggressive, but it's because of our circumstance. But because y'all don't even take that into consideration, we just angry. So then
That's
we stay
it.
angry,
Love that.
right? And we don't even know we angry. We don't even know we mad. We don't even know we pissed off. We like, wait, I'm just trying to take care of the bills. I'm just trying to take care of myself. I don't have nobody else to do it, because I don't have a daddy with trust fund 9 times out of 10. I gotta have 10. I had 8 jobs in college. I was a full, I was always working. School was secondary.
Do you know what this conversation is really powerful? And I'll tell you why this conversation is powerful, because both sides are going to learn something from each other here, because there's a safe environment to have a conversation, and because both parties are actually listening to one another, right? There's a healthy respect here, so the conversation is going to flow and information is going to pass. What happens between men and women oftentimes is that both are feeling pain and both need the other person to acknowledge we're in pain. And what can happen is then the conversation gets lost, and the truths that want to be emitted to each side about what they're going through gets lost. And so then there becomes this battleground between both sexes, which we normally see are gender wars online, which we see quite a bit, because both parties are just trying to be heard and trying to be seen and trying to be felt. You know what I mean? But this is a really good time because actually she's able to explain where the women are coming from, and you can see the men nodding their head. They're like, "Okay, cool, we're hearing you." And again, she did something really beautiful as well with this, which I think men and women need to pick up on this. But I love the fact she did this, because I think sometimes Black women sometimes do not do this for us. Sometimes, just sometimes, not all. Sometimes, some people. Is that she did something really powerful. She acknowledged his truth and said, "I think it's a bit crazy, but I appreciate your truth." And so then that means now what's going to happen to Nick is he's going to feel more confident to share some of his truth. And probably even that truth wasn't really his truth, but maybe he's trying to be facetious. But now he can come to the table a bit more and share more of his thoughts. And what that allows, again, is for more dialogue, and also as well allows for more challenging, because some of his thoughts that's wild to me that he said that, potentially 9 out of 10 white women will pick up the trash. I'm like, bro, I don't know about you, but the women that I know about will pick up the trash, bro. And again, different experiences, because of, like I said, depend on your picker,
The thing is that that's where we stay. And then when we finally get to a moment to chill out, we like, oh.
You better not, boy.
Yeah.
Please.
So I want to be very careful here, because y'all, hey, you think you.
I'm not. What are you, Brandon?
So I want to reset the conversation, because I want to join. I want to get my opinion out.
Okay, reset.
Awesome. So what are we trying to accomplish? What are you asking right now?
I'm talking about this back and forth between Black men and Black women that I don't like. Black men consistently criticizing Black women, and Black women consistently criticizing Black men. I don't like it.
You just agreed to it, though.
I do, but I don't like
why
it.
is that even a conversation?
Because that's what's happening in the world today. I think that with the advent, may he, rest in peace and whatever you feel about him, Kevin Samuels, who he made a whole living off of going hard on us. He made a living.
Did you tune in? Did you listen?
I never, because I wouldn't let that get in my spirit. But my point is, he had a lot of men that I know and respect for following him and listening to him. Women.
And the problem is as well, she's got a point here. I mean, you guys know how I felt about the KS. A lot of the problematic views were there. I think in regards to that, like if there's pointing out, like you see how I said about how when you watch Kendra will let you know, listen, these men potentially will cheat. I'm going to be honest with you. Are you ready for that? Like, but with KS, it's like, no, they have to cheat. You know what? They ain't even cheating. They're going to call it an arrangement. And you know what? You just deal with it. You know what I mean? And it's like the way something's, and I always said this about the way something's presented is really, really important. Like if she doesn't present this very well right now in this conversation, these men don't get a chance. These men will just have to cut, they'll just have to cut her off. But it's the way you present an information that's really, really important, right? Some of the degrading kind of comments and the way that you kind of tone and the way you dealt with certain people, that's where there's a problem I foresee with the KS situation. But in regards to this conversation, as you said, there's a gender war that happens between the two of them, and that's why the conversation is happening. Now, I'll be very honest, my own perspective, I was saying to a friend about this, saying that when I was in London, London's a capital city of UK, but of London of England. Sorry, London's a capital city. It's a melting pot. It's your New York, basically, in UK, right? In London, in England, sorry. And growing up there, I said I didn't fit in because you know how like we talk about New Yorkers and how sometimes they have that very strong energy, hustle mode. It can almost be classed as aggressive kind of facade and persona that they have. In London, it's the same thing. Like people have a very more aggressive nature in terms of the way they go about their business. And so when you're growing up in that environment, if you don't have that energy, you don't necessarily fit in. You know what I'm saying? And so if the women are also emulating that energy, I always say that the spirit in London is aggressive. If the women are also emulating that energy because that's the environment that you're in, that's the territorial spirit that's carried in that space. If you don't carry that energy, you tend to fall by the wayside until you get considerably older, and then you realize it's not the same way for everybody. People start to branch out, people start to have their own mindset, start to develop their own thoughts and patterns and stuff like that. They don't just conform. But when I moved out to another area, let's call it, some might call it the country, I would say more of a town, smaller town, let's say, somewhere, like Northampton, Wellingborough. For those of you in America probably won't know that, but it's to say it's a smaller town, basically, yeah? When I moved to a smaller town, the black people there were different. That aggressiveness that we have, considerably different. The mindset was different. And I was shocked. I was like, wait, because I was expecting that little, because that's what I got in London. And funnily enough, I realized that when black people have to assimilate in white spaces, we're gonna go somewhere now. This is deep. When black people have to assimilate in white spaces, so there's a cluster of black people within a white space, that aggression comes down. And I say aggression because I think we're naturally aggressive people, and I don't even like the word aggressive because it's got such a natural, we're naturally brawnish. We're strong. We have strength. Physical attributes are a must. I think within that, when you have that. I think that's just us as a people, like, you know what I'm saying? We, when you look at how we run in sports and see how we dominate. But when we have to assimilate in white spaces, the energy is considerably different. Black people in their own space where they are dominant force, the rules seem to change. What's considered black seems to change. What is okay, what's not okay, how people move is so much more different. I remember there was a school that was predominantly black than myself, and when I went past there, it reminded me of my London school because they were doing everything the same thing. You know how we make beats, you know how we make music, you know how we dance, you know how we're a bit someone might say a bit more rowdy, how we're a bit more ostentatious, we're boisterous, you know what I mean? We're just everything flamboyant, you know what I mean? I saw that and I was like, okay, but my school I'm in, fewer black people amongst a general population of white folk, completely different dynamic. And then you realize that it depends on where you are, what space you're in, what area you're in, what city you're in, because black folk are not all a monolith, and also we are influenced by the environment that we're actually in. So if you're from the hood and you're choosing gal who have the same energy of the hood, certain things that the hood energy, certain things that are in the hood that are considered normal will become part of that person's norm. So if you're choosing gal that are in the hood that don't do those things, like you said, pick up the trash from the floor, they ain't gonna pick up the trash from the floor. You know what I mean? Like it's because it's not the norm. That's not what we consider normal. But if you get another girl, not necessarily, and it could be from another hood, but in that hood they pick up trash from the floor, guess what? When you pick up girls from that particular hood, that girl gonna pick up trash from the floor. So it really depends as well, because our environments, how we grew up, where we grew up, and stuff like that. We assimilate. We are trying to facilitate the environments that we're in. We're trying to maneuver. We're trying to make sense of our environment that we're in this alien land, and therefore there are different strands of black that tends to happen, I think, in this conversation. So I say this, look, I've met far more, for me, I'm a black lover, so I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm biased, but I've met I've met people that are black women that are domesticated, black women that can cook, black women that will take care of you, black women that will appreciate you, that will love on you. And I've met black women that will be aggressive, bruv, call you out your names and everything like that as well. But what I realized is once I stopped looking for them certain type of girl and I started looking for a particular type of girl, that particular girl also showed up. We've also got to take accountability for our picker. Is your picker off? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Let's watch a bit more.
Men I know who were dating people were like, oh, Kevin Samuels told him to do this. Like he was somebody's God. And they were taking that advice and using it in real life. And that just wasn't realistic. And I'm like, why are we beefing with each other? Why do we have such negative images of each other? That's what I don't understand.
So
I want to see you and be like, I'm happy to know that you are who you are. And I'm happy to watch you grow. I'm happy to watch you grow. I know that with enough experience that everything that people wrote about you and said about you wasn't true. Like we can see that. Black women can see that. And we give y'all
That's
that
love.
grace. Can y'all give us that grace?
that's love. Oh wow! Listen, woo. We got to figure out who the leaders are. Like a lot of us are.
What do you mean by that?
Our marriages are the family dynamic is broken. You got to go back.
For sure.
It was also interesting because I think she's a journalist as well. So I think the black men are also being very smart. Nobody needs a quotable here. So let's be careful what we say. That's power in its sense anyway. But I wanted to just kind of leave it on there. If you want to go and watch it, listen, go type it in, you'll see it there. But I think it's a real conversation. And again, if you disagree with what I've said, comment down below. Maybe I've said something that I haven't thought about it, and maybe I said it out of turn or whatever. I'm trying to be more conscious about the fact that sometimes when you speak, you don't realize sometimes you may say something and you may not necessarily be right. And when you watch it back, you're like, oh God, have mercy. And I think we have to be accountable with that as well. Your words hold weight. And so I'm starting to try and be a bit more conscious about certain words and not being so stuck on one side. I just want to be ready for open conversation and dialogue. Someone else might disagree with me, have a different way of putting it, or they might put it in a better way than I've put it. And so I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts as well. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about the situation as well. Do you agree? Black women, are they more aggressive than other races? I'm just going to be honest with you. Listen, I met some great black women, man. I'm appreciating black women. I love the black women. You know what I'm saying? I've met some aggressive ones, but I've met even better black women who are just solid. You know what I mean? That will love you, appreciate you, serve. You know what I mean? Submit even. Some of you don't even like submit, but I've met ones that will even submit. Anyway, let me leave it there, man, before I break somebody's head today. Appreciate you guys. Say lots of love.